Memphis is truly a remarkable community, especially its faith community. It's a community in which people of faith come together to pursue justice on a regular basis. One such collaboration is the Lynching Sites Project. The goal of this group that you may have heard of is to mark all the sites in Shelby County where lynchings have occurred, and there are dozens, in order that we not forget this history that we all own. For as Elie Wiesel said, to forget is to kill twice. I've attended several of these dedications. There will be many more. And I want to share with you what I find to be the most moving part of them. At each dedication, there is a moment called prayers of lamentations and anger. This moment is an opportunity for those gathered at the site to spontaneously voice their feelings to the group. They begin with one of two sentences: I feel angry because, or I feel sad because. People are always astoundingly honest and courageous at these moments. I've heard an African-American mother say, I feel angry because I have to worry about the safety of my teenage son every time he is walking down the street. I'm so afraid for his life. I've heard an elderly white man say, I feel so angry and so sad because I was taught to hate and fear all my life. And I've been a part of this problem, part of the reason for these lynchings. I am so sorry. I just didn't understand. When else would two people such as these, who are exactly the source of one another's fear or anger or sadness, have the chance to hear one another? Even thinking of this often moves me to tears, and the rest of the crowd that is gathered, who has not spoken, answers, each sharing with a simple statement: I hear you. No argument, no justification, no rationalizing, no apologizing, just a 3-word declaration that the feelings and expressions of the individual who has just spoken have landed, have been heard. In our Torah this week, we find the story of Korach, Moses' cousin and critic, who tries to lead a rebellion against him. And in the midst of a parashah that is angst-filled and even violent, one moment of quiet presents itself, a moment reminiscent of the I hear you response that happens here in Memphis as we do the holy work of owning our past. Korach and his supporters approach Moses and Aaron and say to them, Chol ha'edah kulam kadoshim uvetocham Adonai umadua tit nas'u al kahal Adonai. You have gone too far. For all the community, all of them, are holy, and God is in their midst. Why do you raise yourself up over all of us? And then the text says that when Moses heard these words, Vayipol al panav, Moses fell on his face. It's also only 3 words, but our rabbinic sages do not overlook or underestimate them. In fact, it is from these 3 words that they draw out profound lessons about conflict. In parsing out what the text means when it says Moses fell on his face, these explanations emerge. Rashbam says, he fell on his face means that Moses prayed in order to learn what he should say to Korach. Rashi says, he fell on his face means Moses buckled because of the rebellion and his great concern for the people. Sadia Gaon says, he fell on his face means Moses paused to receive a great vision or guidance from God. The idea of many of our great Torah commentators is that these 3 words, Vayipol al panav, represent a moment of contemplation and listening, a pause in the action during which Moses takes Korach's words to heart, during which Moses commits to a listening process and a period of introspection. And it is this period that gives him clarity with regard to his role and his next step. Seeking to hear and understand, as well as to be heard and to be understood, is not only one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, though it is one of the 7. It is also a Jewish spiritual practice that we might consider incorporating into our own lives, whether we're in conflict with a loved one or isolated from someone whose story we've never taken the time to hear. Korach's complaint to Moses is very compelling, and remarkably, the Torah records its entirety. And Moses' pause to listen and contemplate is a good start, applauded by the sages. However, the conversation dies shortly thereafter, and the situation devolves into a showdown and a zero-sum game. Our sages say that this happens because once Moses does answer back to Korach, Korach stops talking altogether. The space between them that could have been filled with productive dialogue, that space remained vacant, empty, useless, and as a result, Korach was silenced forever. His protest in the end was worthless, made no difference, brought about no change. Of the many messages our sages draw from this, one of the most resonant this week is that if we care about justice and compassion, we can never embrace silence and closed-mindedness. Only introspection and then vital exchange of stories and ideas can move us forward from the world we have to the world we wish to see. That is why we wandered, and in the wandering space of the Israelites, it is called midbar, from the word dibor, meaning speech. Speech, language, expression of what's on the inside changes the world if we give it voice. When I witness the storytelling at the lynching sites and elsewhere, I find myself believing that these moments are God's way of getting us out of this cycle of violence and isolation that we're in. A cycle born of our differences and the fact that they have been painted by hateful people as a reason that we can never come together, never be friends or allies, never be brothers and sisters. Saying true things and hearing one another, acknowledging the realness of the experience of another person, these, I believe, are the road signs that punctuate the path to the promised land. We who have trod this road before throughout our history, we must be brave enough. I pray that we are brave enough to follow them. Ken Hiratzon.